Hi there, since my last recording on deviceTrust in 60 seconds, I've been asked many times on how I did that, and so I thought I'd put together a quick video here describing how AppSense and deviceTrust can be integrated with triggers. So what we have here is my Windows Terminal Server 2012 R2, and we'll just look in the control panel. And we'll see in control panel under programs and features that we have deviceTrust installed, but I've not configured this up yet. It's not licensed. We have a Windows 7 machine here. It's got AppSense config on it, but nothing's active at the moment. We do have a local printer installed here, and that's about it. What we're going to do is we're just going to connect up to our terminal server as a user, have a quick look. So quick log on. And if we have a look on here, our printers have not come through, our desktop's not been set up, and our icons haven't been set. So let's just log this guy off, and we'll go back to our domain controller. So deviceTrust is all configured up using group policies. So let's go in and set this up. So this is my domain controller. I'm using it under a default domain group policy. Obviously you wouldn't do this normally, you pick it per servers. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to edit this, and what we need to do is go down into our policies, and here we have deviceTrust, and under deviceTrust we're going to enable deviceTrust, and we're going to enable it, and we need to give it a license key, and we have a license key here. So we'll take our license key and we'll apply that in. So our license key is now in. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set deviceTrust up to recognize whether or not the software, the host software, has been installed on the client, the Windows 7 machine, and if it hasn't, what to do. So I'm going to define behavior when it's untrusted. So in other words, no software, deviceTrust software, has been found on the connecting machine. And we're going to set this as a whitelist, blank. So whitelist here. And then we're going to leave the whitelist blank. So in other words, if somebody has connected up from an untrusted device, are they in this whitelist, which is blank? Stop them from accessing it. So there's the two simple configurations we're going to do right at the beginning. And we'll close that down, and what we need to do is we need to do a group policy update on this machine. So just waiting for that to go through, and then we'll connect up. So we'll hit an F5 on here, and we can see that our settings are in here. And if we go to our Windows 7 machine now and we connect up through deviceTrust, we don't have the deviceTrust software on this machine. The whitelisting hasn't been defined, and therefore we are blocked from getting access. So that's the first stage. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to install the client software onto the actual Windows 7 machine. So we have that already, so if we just go into temp, and here it is here, DT client release software, and we'll just do a quick install on that. Okay, before we connect up, I just want to talk you through how this is going to work. So I've got a quick little image here. So basically we have, on the left hand side we have the client desktop. deviceTrust software is installed there, and let's use the firewall as an example. If deviceTrust client software detects that the firewall has changed from a good state to a poor state, it will send that information saying there's a property change, and it will send it to the terminal server. On the terminal server, we're going to use a deviceTrust trigger for property change to actually fire off a dummy executable. This executable will do nothing other than run. The whole reason for this is then we can actually assign a process trigger on Environment Manager to watch for that dummy executable being launched, and then to take some user configuration changes. So that's the little trick we're using here. deviceTrust trigger to kick off a dummy executable, and then separately AppSense Environment Manager will spot that executable being run, and then we can do some actions on it. So let's take a look at our Environment Manager configuration, and the trigger we're going to use. So trigger we're going to use is on process started, and the trigger we've got is, we'll just expand this all out a little bit, is based on a trigger called a dummy executable called nothing64.exe. It's just a 64-bit stub that runs and closes. And when that runs and it is spotted, AppSense will then go and do some actions. So we have a reusable node here called firewall quality actions, and we have another one called regional quality actions. Let's concentrate on the firewall ones. The firewall actions are up here in the reusable nodes, and it is basically checking to see if the operating system is a terminal server, and then based on the rules and the registry settings that deviceTrust has passed across. So here we can see that if my properties, my firewall is good, do some actions. If the firewall is poor, based on the registry that deviceTrust is passing through to the server, then do opposite actions. So some of the actions we have here, they are given some quite varied examples here. So we have a PowerShell script to change wallpaper. We're going to put some icons on the desktop for the Office applications. We'll map some drives. We've also got some PowerShell script to add and pin items to and from the start bar and start menu. And we're also going to map through the printers. And we've got the opposite actions if the firewall gets switched off here. So this is our AppSense configuration. So this is all running off the nothing64.exe process. So we need to trigger that off. To do that, we're going to go back into our group policy management, and we're going to edit this. And we're going to go down into the policies, administration tools, deviceTrust, and we're going to go into triggers. And under triggers, the trigger that I'm looking for is a property change with user privileges, i.e. if a property has changed on the client machine, such as the firewall being switched on and off, then I want you to run something on the terminal server. We're going to enable this, our executable, and we're going to say that this is going to be c/user data/ do nothing. So it's called nothing64.exe, and we have that stored just sat here, nothing64.exe. So if something changes on the client machine, push that through and run this executable on the terminal server, which then AppSense will trigger on. And we're going to apply that, and we're going to do a GPO update on that. And we'll just check to make sure that this is all come through. Do a refresh, and we can see our trigger is there. So let's go back to our Windows 7 machine. We will now connect up as a user. We have the software installed, so we should be able to access and get onto the terminal server. And then AppSense Environment Manager via the triggers should also kick in as well for us. And to test this out, what we're going to do is we're going to go into Control Panel, and we're going to go into our Windows Firewall, and we're going to trigger the firewall. So we're going to turn on the firewall. And you can see straight away now that the actions have kicked in. The wallpaper has changed. The documents, shortcuts have changed for my icons. I've got my taskbar menu. If I look at my printers, we're just waiting for it to come through. It's the first time mapping, so it might take a few seconds to come through. But also, if we go and take a look at my drives, you might see that my drives have been mapped up. So every time there's a property change, nothing.exe, there we go, my local printer's now kicked in. Nothing.exe is kicked off through a trigger and deviceTrust. AppSense picks it up and then performs actions on it. So now if I go and switch my firewall off, we should see that the wallpaper has changed. So hopefully what we've shown you there is a very quick video on deviceTrust 16.3, now using default domain, now using group policies to do its configuration, and how to integrate that through AppSense using this. How to integrate that through AppSense using this nice little trick of using a dummy executable to trigger off AppSense Environment Manager changes. Hopefully you found this video useful. There's also a link to the previous video of deviceTrust in 60 seconds that has been on screen, and please don't forget to subscribe for more videos on AppSense and deviceTrust and desktop transformations. Thank you.